Good morning from Vilnius, Lithuania. Now, when I was initially planning this trip, this was the country that I more just threw on there because I thought I should see all the Baltics if I'm going to two of them. But the more I read about it, the more I got really excited about actually coming here because Lithuania, in comparison to Estonia and Latvia, actually has a lot of history as more of a regional power, so should be a pretty solid trip. Morning. Careful there, careful there. Yeah, so far the hotel is amazing. I'll definitely give a tour of that later. Great breakfast. People seem really friendly, as you can see, and yeah, I'm pretty stoked. Staying true to the pattern of the trip so far. Today is supposed to be cloudy, a little rainy, very cold. And then tomorrow should be sunnier and still pretty cold, but whatever. We're pretty far north, so what did I expect? But I'm gonna try to get as much sightseeing in as I can before the rain starts in earnest. Then I may go back to the hotel and just rest, because honestly I'm a little tired. This monument here appears to be dedicated to people who passed away during the Soviet occupation of Lithuania. There's no writing in English, so it's tough for me to say much more than that. But it said something about Soviet on the front. One of the few Lithuanian words I'm able to suss out. And it's very close to our first stop, the Museum of Occupation. Yes, a museum that should essentially be the same or at least similar to the one I did not get to see in Riga, so lucky me, I get to fill in some gaps. So the museum, or rather the building in which the museum is today, has a lot of history because it was where the KGB, or rather the NKVD, had their headquarters in Vilnius, and it was also where the Nazis were during the occupation. So this would be filled up with ice cold water, and the prisoners would have to stand on that, just try not to fall in. Basically, if you were a prisoner here, you'd get put in one of these, and you could walk around for 15 minutes, and that was your exercise. Weren't allowed to talk. Nothing. So that was the Museum of Occupations. It's a pretty sobering experience to walk through there, particularly when you're in the KGB dungeon or prison, whatever you want to call it, part of the tour. Just, I don't know, really, it's sort of almost depressing to walk through this place where for many people it was the last place they ever got to see. And just knowing that they're probably going to be tortured and executed. I don't know, it's the depths of depravity of mankind sometimes. I mean, impressive isn't the right word, but I guess terrifying. But yeah, hopefully we're gonna see some more uplifting stuff here at some point. Gonna head to the main area where the palaces are, castles are, and the river is, and see some happier sights. One video I saw on YouTube described Vilnius as having a somewhat Parisian flavor, and I think that's right. Actually, the streets are not entirely unlike what you'd find walking through the center of Paris. So the fact that the goods are about a quarter of the price, that's just a bonus. So this center area we're in now has most of the landmarks in Vilnius. So this is, of course, the Vilnius Cathedral. Initial construction started in the 1300s. But it took its present form much later. I want to say like 1900s, maybe the 1800s. But its actual name, I'm now learning, is the St. Stanislaus and St. Ladislaus Cathedral, which I think they should have stuck with that. It's got more of a ring to it. Stanislaus. It's a good name. I might name my first kid Stanislaus. So certainly this is a much different look than most of the churches and cathedrals we've seen so far. Lithuania is still predominantly Roman Catholic. As a result, their churches are a bit more ornate, you could definitely say. So far we've got a clean over 2 on stuff in the city center in Vilnius, as the bell tower behind me is closed on Sundays, and of course there was Holy Mass going on in the church. Which I did get a little video of, and for whatever reason I also put in money, but I guess I just felt awkward, honestly, that I'd walked into the middle of Holy Mass and they were asking for donations, and I thought, what the heck, some good juju. But now I have to figure out what the next stop is, since I don't really feel like posing as a Catholic today. Not that I could do a very convincing job of it anyway. Right next to the cathedral is the Palace of the Grand Dukes of Lithuania, which is open today and not Monday, so that actually works out for us. Let's go check it out. Right now we are in the cellar of what was the palace. There's lots of little exhibits here about sewage. Most exciting. I actually wrote a paper in 7th grade about sewage. Well, plumbing, but close enough. So one of the craziest pieces of history I've ever read, the way one of the duchesses of Lithuania died was she was at a bear fight and walked up to the bear and it mauled her to death. Is that not the most ridiculous way to die you've ever heard? So we're currently in the observation tower. I'm a little out of breath because I took the stairs. But just wanted to give my thoughts on this so far. So, you know, on one hand, it's obviously pretty cool just to read about the history of Lithuania. But on the other hand, it sort of stinks to know that this is just a reconstruction of what was. Because without the authenticity, it's just, I don't know, it just feels like a museum that's dressed up a little bit. I don't know. Just my thoughts on it. Obviously, there's nothing they can do about the fact that the original castle got destroyed, but it's just too bad. Oh, good. Looks like the rain started. Lovely. So that was the rebuilt palace of the Grand Dukes of Lithuania. It was worth seeing. It's only €5. Just, you know, it's sad that it's not the real thing. Like I said, there's nothing Lithuania could do about it, but there's something about seeing an authentic building that just inspires the imagination a little more. It's all right. But still, it's a very pretty building, and the exhibits about the history are very well done. The English is excellent, which is not always the case in museums like that, so I had a good time. I emerged, of course, into the rain. What else would I expect? I'm now going to see if Mass is over and try to see the church. One interesting thing about Vilnius is that many of the museums and churches are closed on Mondays, but then a couple of them are closed on Sundays and open on Mondays, so a big part of this trip is just going to be getting the timing right to see everything I want to see. Somehow an hour and a half later, Mass is still going. Do y'all ever get bored during Mass? I mean, actually, I don't know. That seems a little forever taking to me, especially since we're not even speaking whatever your language is a lot of the time. I don't know. Not for me, I guess. Up there is a tower that was part of the upper part of the fortification. So this part here was the lower palace. That was the upper palace or upper castle. It's one of the few remaining things. I believe it's actually real. It's not rebuilt. It's authentic. We now find ourselves in front of the hope I haven't been saying Lithuanian National History Museum. So I think a lot of it's going to be a repeat of what I learned in the castle, but maybe a little more in depth. It looks more historical with the way the walls are sort of coming apart there. So you'd have to say this is a bit more of a sparse museum than some. I think that coat looks quite nice. I'd get one of those. Apparently Lithuanians are very good at cross-crafting. It's actually one of the UNESCO intangible heritage things. You know, I said it earlier in the Estonia video, but it's a bit creepy how many images there are of a guy being tortured on a cross. We just sort of treat it as normal. So, National History Museum. It's basically the same thing as the museum, the whatever palace of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, whatever. Very similar idea, except it goes into less depth on Lithuanian history. So I actually think you're better off maybe even just skipping this one and instead going to the palace, because if all you're looking for is the history, it gives a much better or much broader picture of it. And then if you're wanting to go to the landmark, that makes more sense for that reason as well. So little disappointing, I'd say, but it comes as part of the ticket. You get to go see the tower on top of the hill, so part of the upper fortification of the palace. So for that reason, it sort of makes sense to just go in and see what's what before you head up the hill, which I will now have to figure out how to do. So there's the Gediminas Castle. I guess it could also be Gedemina or something. I'm going with Gedimina. There are two options, it appears, to get to the top. So one is taking the stairs over here, which I'm going to do. But it looks like you can also take one of these sort of things. I do not know the name of them, but it's what they have at where was I had one of those? I've been on one before. Oh, Heidelberg Castle, I'm pretty sure. But we're going to take the stairs because, you know, I'm just feeling like I need the exercise. And off we go up the path. Follow the cobblestone road. Follow the cobblestone road. Ah! There's a crow. It's actually not the easiest going because my shoes do not have that much tread anymore and the rocks are a bit wet. It's all going to be worth it at the top though. It appears this part of Gedimina's castle is currently under construction, but I believe we can still go in there. If not, I want a refund on my ticket. You actually get a pretty nice view of downtown Vilnius from here. More modern buildings, skyscrapers. Looks like apartments more down there. From up here you get a pretty nice view of the old town, which is generally over there. And this part is free to come to. You do have to pay to go up in the tower, but anything you can see on top of this hill, that is no cost. So that's the palace we were just at. Look at the view. What you pay for right here. Let's go look at the peons down below who didn't spend the €3. I don't know what they're missing. Flag of Lithuania. I'd say my second favorite flag. Maybe third favorite on this trip. Estonia, Finland, Lithuania, Latvia. Sorry, Latvia. Your flag's a little bit boring. Over there is the TV tower. Built in the same style as the Tallinn TV tower, as you recall. So that's it, we did it. Not even raining. It's a gorgeous day. Couldn't be happier. We'll stretch along the river here. The bend actually reminds me a lot of Columbus. Like skyscrapers on one side, a little lower build-up on the other. Very Souda Miley riverbank. Having enjoyed that lovely view, it's time for take 3 on going into the main cathedral here in Vilnius. Honestly, if Mass is still going at this point, it is almost 2:15. I will be shocked and disappointed, but mostly shocked. Because what is there to talk about? I don't know. I guess we'll see.